I'm Bobby Santos, and this is The Skinny.
From the Fatheads Eyewear Studios in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny, brought to you by Toyota, Rhino Classifieds, General Tire, and Dream Giveaway. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Toyota. So, this is a pretty early show. I think we're going to have a serious sit-down with your daughter, who's scheduled at 10 a.m.
Yeah, you notice that she's not here, right?
Yeah. It's one thing to be here at 10. It's another thing to actually be working at 10.
I mean, she was emailing me at 2 o'clock this morning. She has about the same sleep pattern that I have, so it's works out wonderful for the whole group.
This guy sitting over here beside us, I saw him walk into the office. I said, so was it your idea to come here at 10?
I'm not positive. It might be, actually.
Look at that, falling on the sword. I love it.
Yeah.
This is good. Taking up for it.
I think she gave me options. And
Yeah. Now, do you want to do it at 8 a.m. or 10? Yeah, we'll do 10.
So joining us here on The Skinny this morning is Bobby Santos III. Yes, third-generation driver. Did a little bit of homework. I never knew they called you Bobby New England. I never heard that before. Certainly makes sense coming out of Mass, but certainly one of the most diversified short-track drivers in history. One of the best in this country. Some of the races that he's won, night before the 500, Turkey Night Grand Prix, champion in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, a little 500 just a year ago, the Copper. I mean, some big stuff against the absolute best. And you never know when he's going to show up, but when he shows up, everybody that's racing knows he's there. And Bobby Santos, he's a player, man, for sure. We had an opportunity to race with him. My son was running King of the Wings with Davey, and every time Bobby pulled in, we were like, hey, Bobby's here.
Yeah, right.
He's a tough player, man. Tough player. You've been doing it for a long time, man. Congratulations on all the success as well.
no, I appreciate that. Like you said, I mean, this is all I've done. This is what I know. My dad got me into quarter midgets when I was 4 years old, and kind of haven't looked back. And started in New England and modified, super modifieds, midgets up in the Northeast, and then been lucky enough to get to travel out here and race with some of the best in the open wheel racing out here.
So as I was doing a little bit of research on you, I did not realize that you had a sister that also raced.
Yeah, I have three sisters, but just one of them raced. My sister Erica, she was a winner in the NEMA midgets, which is a full midget in the Northeast. They run them with wings. But she actually won a feature event at Stafford, of all places, which is a pretty historic, cool place.
Yeah, I was just there.
So she did very well. She never wanted the extra. She could have played the girl card if she wanted to, but she didn't want to. She wanted to be as good as she was, as the driver she was, and really respect her for that. I mean, she was a good racer and did well, and she could have gone further in racing if she wanted to, but she didn't want to play the girl card. And now she is a nurse anesthetist in Boston, and pretty 2 kids, and is a pretty successful person.
Yeah, it's whenever I read that, I was like, it's so cool because clearly, as I alluded to in the beginning, Bobby Santos III. Not only are you third generation in that name, but you're a third generation racer. So clearly, she grew up in that atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, we from day one we were going to the racetrack. Quarter midgets was awesome growing up. I mean, we did it as a family. My parents took all 4 of us, and there are times where my 2 other sisters that didn't even race wanted to go as bad or worse than me and my sister that did race, just because of the family and the funds and the friends at the racetrack. So we certainly grew up in it, and my parents sacrificed everything for us to race.
Where did you guys run quarter midgets? What was the mainly the
Thompson, Connecticut, and next to the big track at Thompson, and then Silver City and Meriden, Connecticut were our 2 home tracks. And then as we got better at it, we started doing a little bit of the traveling and going to the grands everywhere. And we raced pretty much all the Eastern Grands from 94 to 98. And then my last year quarter midgets, we actually did all 3 Grands. We did the Dirt Grands, the Eastern Grands, and the Western Grands in Colorado. So, did a little bit of traveling with the quarter midgets and had fun with that. And, then moved on to bigger cars.
And I read that you actually started banging wheels with Doug Kobe and quarter midgets, believe it or not. And he just, of course, 6-time wheeling champ, badass, much like yourself. But we just saw him on SRX car, and which is why you're here, I believe. You're also going to drive one of those this weekend here at Raceway Park. But it's pretty cool to see that you guys have been kind of mirroring each other since you were little kids.
No, we grew up racing quarter midgets together. Doug was awesome. He's a little older than me, so he was the guy that I looked up to when I first started. He was the best. So I watched him, and then kind of followed him through the quarter midgets, and then eventually we were racing against each other at Stafford, Thompson, all the different tracks in the Northeast racing modifieds, and got to know each other and race against each other more and more, and our families have known each other for a long time, and. Doug's awesome. As far as I'm concerned, he's one of, if not the best short track racer in the country. Very, very talented, and he proved it at Stafford in his SRX race at what he's capable of doing.
He was amazing. Nothing short of amazing. And I mean, he had some major talented people that he was up against there. Of course, Tony, that one guy that just won the Indianapolis 500, so I mean, to say that to say that you ran with them, which you're going to get an opportunity to, but two, to actually to win. So it was really cool. I don't know the guy. I sent him a message on Facebook, and what I thought was really, really cool about him was his Victory Lane interview. And you know what? He praised, Tony Stewart, and he praised Ray Everingham for what they're doing and bringing the likes of Doug Colby in, the likes of Bobby Santos, Cody Swanson, Brian Brown, and on and on. Mm-hmm. And, I thought that was a pretty selfless thing to do, because it's pretty hard to get to that in the moment, right? Because you're so busy trying to think about, I want to thank everybody that, helped me get here, and, your sponsors and everything like that. But he went out of his way to do it. I mean, he did bust his ass coming out of the car, which I felt bad for him. And I was wondering if he was going to be able to get up, because that was a big fall. I mean, they had laid the flag on the door, right inside the door where the net is. And he's getting out in the moment, steps on that flag, it slips, and he goes full off of the side of the car. And I was like, oh, my God, please don't be hurt. And,
ruin the rest of his season, right?
I mean, it was like that was a tailbone breaker, as far as he fell. But maybe adrenaline, whatever, but I have a feeling he probably felt that the next day, and but it was pretty wild. And we'll have to have you back sometime with him. And would love to have, Cody on as well. And but so you mainly, your main gig was pavement, correct?
Yeah. I grew up doing pavement. I've done a little bit of dirt stuff. Did a couple crown races, a couple dirt modified races back years ago. People ask me all the time out here why I don't do the Dirt Crown Series, and I always have a different answer for different people. So right. I guess no real reason, but honestly, one of the biggest things is I still race the NASCAR modifieds in the Northeast, and a lot of the big races that I like to go back and do fall on some of the traditional Silver Crown dates. Eldora Crown race seems to fall on a race that I have in New Hampshire every year. The coin's always on the Oswego Classic that I like to go home and do. So I guess that's my poor excuse, other than
but
just not wanting to hit my head.
That's a poor excuse.
No, I think that's a great reason, because you know what, it's there are the outlaw drivers were always the outlaws that hit certain races, right, and went to certain places and things like that. But they always associated those outlaw guys with dirt. I mean, you can still be an outlaw and race at, pavement, right? Hitting the tough shows and I don't know if I call it cherry picking because there's really no cherry picking to it. Those tough shows have some tough competitors, and we sponsor a couple of Johnny Nicotra's cars up at Oswego, and I would love to get up there. It looks like an unbelievable traditional. I mean, the tradition of that place looks just amazing. So
it's one of my favorite races.
Yeah, I need to get up there, and the cars are wicked crazy. I mean, I know they race that stuff a few other places, but it's pretty much there, right?
Yeah, the traditional non-wing super is Oswego.
Yeah.
They kind of have a wing the last couple of years, just a smaller element wing they've been running, but the traditional non-wing cars, that's an Oswego deal. But then the ISMA and MSA supers, they travel more, go to different tracks. But the Oswego Classic, as far as I'm concerned, is the super modified race. It's the one race that I try to get to every year and be involved in.
We'll be right back after this. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Dream Giveaway. Dream Giveaway has been giving away high-end American muscle cars to raise money for charity since 2007. Dream Giveaway is known for giving away classic and new muscle and paying the federal taxes so the winners don't have to. For $25, you can jump in the game, and part of that goes to charity. You'll have a chance at winning some of the coolest cars on the planet. Check it out at dreamgiveaway.com.
Sanford, I was amazed with that track. Neat track, and I mean, it just seemed to me like 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4 complete different animals, right? I mean, it's a different way to drive it, much like Raceway Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Stafford is one of the unique racetracks in the country. I race there quite a bit, and
I keep saying it the wrong way, so go ahead, Stafford.
Yeah, no, it's Stafford. I actually kind of had a unique situation, probably not to the level of what Doug just did there, but 2006, Jack Root Jr. put together a show there where he brought all the guys from out here there to do a midget and a Silver Crown race, and they did a $50,000 bonus if you could win them both.
Wow.
And I had the home field advantage because nobody knew the racetrack.
Right.
And won the midget race, started tailing the crown race, and won that deal. So.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty neat. Kind of probably not to the high profile of what Doug did, but I knew the feeling of how Doug felt going into that race. It's like, all right, we're going to Stafford, and this is a track none of you guys know, and I'm going to make you look bad. And that's what Doug did.
I think that there was a few pleas in the drivers' meeting of, can you not make us look like complete idiots?
Try not to lap the entire field.
Right.
And Doug's a very confident person in his abilities and his driving, and I'm willing to say, without talking to him prior, he knew going into that race what he was going to do. And it's kind of funny, a lot of people didn't know who Doug was before that, and I've had disagreements leading into that race with people like, no, Doug is going to make them look bad at Stafford, I promise you. And I'm not shocked at all at what he did there.
So I asked Tony, well, we were at Eldora, of course, Cody's standing there, and I said, what, you cut him out at Lucas Oil Raceway? And he goes, listen, he goes, we got to have a chance to win. I said, you've already lost that chance with Santos coming. I said, it's one or the other. I said, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, if you want to have a race, you got to put them both in, and then
yeah, right. You want to have a breakaway, but it's amazing how even those cars are. And, of course, you get to kind of call your shot and tell them what you want done. I talked about it on our last show with Tyler Courtney. I said, what impressed me the most about that SRX deal at Eldora? Listen, Knoxville's Knoxville. It's I think Knoxville's really a wing show. That's just kind of the way the track works. And listen, USAC's ran there and has done great. The truck show there, I hope it's great for them. We sponsor Knoxville Raceway, but watching the SRX guys at Eldora was amazing, and they were absolutely hauling ass. And I mean, watching Marco Andretti, I was confused because, to start out, you have 4 cars that are practice cars. They're not your race, the car that you're assigned to. And then at the end of practice, everybody takes your car out and, shakes it down and tries to get a feel for it. So you never knew who was in one of those 4 cars because no names are on them. So, I got out of the bus and I went up there and was standing on pit road and I was watching who was climbing in and out of them. Hinchcliffe took one of them out, which it was totally cool. I mean, he was and then, you had Marco and Juan. Castro Neves looked really good. And the thing about it is, so at lunch, we were sitting there, and it was me, Marco, Tony, Brandon Bernstein, PJ Chesson, and Hinchcliffe. And we're sitting at this little diner joint, dive bar place near Eldora. And we're eating and to listen to Hinchcliffe talk about it to Tony. I mean, Tony's ran IndyCar. Tony, I mean, he's ran everything, right? But it was really cool to listen to him. He's like, man, he goes, these things are really fun, and Marco, confidently, I wasn't a fan of Marco in IndyCar. I just wasn't because I felt like he was overburdened with, your grandpa's Mario, your dad had a pretty good run as well. But, Marco's kind of busting out of his shell, right? So he's kind of, at a late stage in it. But, him running that SRX deal, he's good. I mean, he's really good. So I'm interested to see now that these guys have this will be week 4, and this will be the second pavement. So you took these guys and you put them on dirt, which I don't think Marco's ever drove dirt. I don't think that Elio's ever run dirt anything. Paul Tracy will drive over the top of you, whether it's in the gravel road, dirt road, whatever it is.
Pit road,
whatever it may be. So anyhow, I'm excited to see it, man, and I'm excited to see that you're in it. And like I said, Doug Colby, when he came out of the car, he said specifically, he mentioned you and he mentioned Cody and maybe Brian Brown, but he said us locals need to take it to these guys, which I loved it, right? So, but anyhow, that's...
I loved the wording. I was reading the advertisement for this weekend, and I don't know who does the press releases, but they put in there, Santos was one of 4 amateur drivers that'll compete in the SRX series. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was somebody that didn't know any better, let's just say like an Ernie Francis Jr. who spent his whole life, in sports cars,
right.
And they say, and he looks at it, the entry list, and he's like, I don't know, some amateur, Bobby Santos, some amateur driver, it's like, good luck with that, pal.
they found him in the crowd. He's been sitting there watching this. He thinks he knows what's going on at this track. It's
just
like
an amateur dude. He runs some Saturday night short track stuff.
This guy's ran more laps around this place than, So I did read that, and I think that was kind of rewritten after somebody realized, these guys aren't amateurs by any means. So
do you, because you do travel, this is all you do, right? I mean, do you consider yourself a professional race car driver?
I don't know about professional, but
Well, I mean,
You're professional.
yeah, I mean, this is what you do for a living. That's kind of how I equate it. I mean, you don't have a day job, you don't have another job. I mean, maybe you're not at the top tier, but that doesn't mean you're not a professional.
well, my day job is I'm in the shop every day and I prepare the DJ Racing race cars. That's my day job. I'm in the shop every day, every morning at 8 a.m. Working on the cars and making sure they're ready to go. That's what I do full time.
So
And if it wasn't for that,
it was him that wanted to start at 10.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, I got cars to work on. So
Yeah, no,
we'll
honestly, I
start at
do.
10. Yeah.
But no, that's what I do. And then, I'm lucky enough that I have a car owner that allows me to do that and pays me to work on the cars and then race them. And, along with that, I get to drive for other teams and other cars also. But my primary deal is the DJ Racing, operation.
I was always impressed with your efforts when we ran King of the Wing with you. You would show up, and I forget the owner's name. What
Dick.
Was
Yeah.
Dick? Yeah.
Yep.
He who's quite the story in his own right. I believe an Olympian. Wasn't he an Olympic tennis player or something? Or a professional tennis player?
He did play tennis, but no, he is a chemical engineer.
Okay.
So a little different, but he did like tennis and followed tennis and
Yeah, I thought he was really good, like a high level tennis player.
I mean, compared to us, he's
during some
probably
conversation
he's
that we
like a
had with
pro.
him, I think Robert was talking with him one day, and he told him he made it pretty far up. But
okay,
I'll
have to ask him.
I always loved the fact that he would drive the truck, and I don't remember how old he was at the time, but he was certainly no spring chicken. But he loved to drive the truck, and it was a dually with a single car trailer. And they would show up at the track, and Bobby, would you have maybe one other guy helping you or something? And I mean, it was just you two. Bobby worked on the car, made all the changes on the car, went out, raced the car, kicked all of our ass, put the car back in the trailer,
the single car trailer.
Yeah, and and away they went. It was like all the time.
And that hasn't changed. The only thing that's probably changed is that I do more of the driving of the truck and trailer now because Dick really he's done doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, always impressed, but it certainly makes sense. You like you say, you prepping the cars for those guys as a day job. But
It's hard to blame anybody when you do that.
No, I tell people that all the time. I can't blame anybody but myself when we don't do well.
I think Cody does a lot of helping with prepping, right, as well on a lot of the stuff that he usually runs.
My understanding is he's obviously extremely knowledgeable with the setup side of the race cars and is involved in in the setups that get put under him. You can't be, in my opinion, at this level of racing what we do, you can't be one of, if not the best at it, if you don't have knowledge of the cars. It's just not. The guys that don't have the knowledge of the cars, as far as I'm concerned, they're behind myself and Cody and other people like that.
I think that shows.
So part of the reason I brought up that last subject, the reason it was so impressive is, and I know you still do this to some degree, but when we were running King of the Wing series, we had 3 different races on the same weekend, 3 different locations. So we'd race somewhere on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever the case may be. So you've got a single guy over here basically working on his own stuff, race the car, put it back on the trailer, and then we took off to the next racetrack next morning doing the same thing. So it's a brutal schedule, and we were just talking before the show started. Before you were up at Wisconsin, and those guys are going to run at Wisconsin. Unfortunately, it got rained out, but then they were going to hoof it over and run Eldora the next night. And I mean, it's still very, very busy schedule. And you said you're running wide open.
No, racing's it's not easy. It's definitely a grind. And like I said, if you're working on a man driving, it's a grind. And then the guys that even the guys that just drive but they race 100 times a year. I mean, it's no matter what you do, if on your extent of it, racing's it's a tough sport. It's a lot of work, and people don't see everything that goes into it behind the scenes.
How many times will you run this year?
I'll probably race 25, 30 times this year, which for me personally is pretty busy because of the the side of it where I have to prepare the cars.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, whenever I would see your name on the entry list, wherever Cody would be running, I'm like, okay, who is it? who's going to win this. You know what I mean? And that's not taking anything away from anybody else by any means, but you guys are tough, and it's one or the other. And I mean, how somebody can run the little 500. I'm telling you, I mean, mentally, physically. I mean, Schrader, how old Schrader? What did he say?
66, 67 or something like that?
Yeah, so we interviewed him right before he ran, and it was pretty funny. I mean, it was pretty funny. He's like, we asked him, you know, and I've told many people this. We said, you know, what is it that drives you at this age? He goes, or ever, you know, what is it that drove you? He goes, I was afraid I'd wake up Monday morning and have to find a job.
A real job.
A real job, yeah, a real job. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's probably pretty good way of putting it. And so when we're standing at SRX at Eldora, I'm standing there talking to him on pit road, and he's helping get the cars where they need to be, and you know, and so forth, and has had a big part in that, you know, in testing those cars.
I heard one of those guys say that he drives every single car to make sure they're all as close as they can be. I mean, you couldn't have a better guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's hilarious. He's like, he said, well, I landed me a Silver Crown ride for DeCoin and Springfield. I said, that's pretty cool. I said, who are you driving for? And he mentioned who it was, and I can't remember. And he said, you know, after I told him that I would do it, he said, well, you said you would do it, but we haven't talked about money. He goes, yeah, I'm not really worried about that. So, you know, it's like with the winnings and this and that. And, but he said, and Ann, his wife, which is equally as funny and crazy, is she walked away and was talking to somebody else standing there by us. And he said, yeah, and think of it, she still thinks this is a job that I'm working. You know, that's like, oh, that's pretty good. You know, I like that a lot. So
we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back on the other side with Bobby Santos having some fun here on Thursday morning. Stay with us. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Rhino Classifieds. Tired of all those ads and random stuff that shows up when you're looking to buy or sell your car parts? Rhino Classifieds was created just for you. Welcome to a streamlined buying and selling app created by racers for racers and race fans. Modified cars, classic cars, race cars, that special big block you need, the trailer to move your baby around the country in. We got you at rhino.co. Back here with Bobby Santos III, and Bobby's been doing this for a long, long time, talking about his career, his lengthy career at this point, and still hard at it. You did make a run at some NASCAR stuff. You drove some ARCA stuff, and I think back in the Busch Series, if I'm not mistaken, so picked your way around in there a little bit. In fact, a Toyota, which Toyota sponsors our show here, so were you close to being a Toyota driver? Was anything developing there?
I did. I had pretty bad timing with all that. It was 07.
Say no more.
When I got my opportunity, and it was for that 1 year. You know, we had some success. I ran a Busch car at Loudon. I think I was the only non-Cup guy in the top 20. That was back when all the Cup guys did both series.
right, yeah.
And I think I qualified fourth, you know, and I was only non-Cup guy. You did that, did Richmond, did a handful of ARCA races, all with Bill Davis Racing, and that was my opportunity.
I read in here that you got Toyota's first stock car pole.
Yep, that was at Lakeland and ARCA car.
Lakeland.
Yep.
No longer, right?
No.
I don't think so.
Lakeland's gone.
Because we used to race Hooters Pro Cup there. That's kind of where Lakeland is where Hooters was founded.
Well, when they had the PRI show down there, didn't they run midgets over at Lakeland?
That was
Orlando Speedway.
Oh, that was Orlando.
Speed,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Toyota's first sprint car win also out west.
Oh, really?
Yep, Irwindale.
I kind of remember that. That's awesome. Yeah, we did their when we were with 6R and Brian Tyler. We did the first Silver Crown win. I think it was at Springfield. I can't remember, But yeah, what a great group. So what engines are you running now? What do you?
Speedway Chevys is what we're using in all our sprint car stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you been eyeballing that new Dan Binks power plant that Cody's been running?
I've seen them run it, and I think it's an LS style engine, is my understanding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Honestly, don't know a lot about it. I'm listening.
So Binks was team manager for Chevrolet, their sports car, the Corvettes, for many, many, many years. I mean, countless wins, 24 Hours of Daytona, championships, all that stuff. So Binks has been in the game for a long, long time, and now his son is actually, I want to say, crew chief. I don't think it's team manager, but crew chief for Ganassi's DPI car. So his son following right in his footsteps. But yeah, Binks been in this game for a long, long time. He literally just sent me a picture, I want to say 2 days ago, of a midget engine that he's working on now, and he's working on developing that as well. But he said he retired from the IMSA deal, the sports car deal, and I'm telling you, like, I want to say 30 years in there with the biggest and best drivers of all time. And just, like I say, countless wins at 24-hour Le Mans. I mean, just you name it, they won it. And he said, man, I'm having more fun now than I've had in many, many, many years. So,
probably a lot less stress.
Yeah, I just a whole different animal,
just
I guess.
Being able to build what you want and feel the way you want. I mean, where's he doing it out of? Where's he out of?
So he's got a shop up in the Michigan area. I don't know exactly what the town is, but he's based out of Michigan. And matter of fact, he'll be down here. Are they running? When are they? They're running here in the next week or two. They're running at Anderson. I think they're running
next Saturday, the 10th.
Yeah, I think he's going to have one of his midget engines in the car. I'm sure Cody will be driving it. To
midget
give it a
or
whirl.
sprint.
Well, I don't know. I thought he was going to have the midget down here. Maybe it's a sprint car, but for sure. I mean, that's what I know. They've been running that together all year long. But yeah, something to keep your eyes on, anyways.
Yep.
And then you've got what's the guy's name that's doing the Hondas down in Charlotte? It's on the tip of my tongue. Starts with a B, but anyhow, he I guess he used to be the engine guy for Gibbs for his Supercross team or motocross team, and ran it with Coy Gibbs, and when they kind of shut that down, Bundy's his name, and when they shut that down, I think his kid wanted to start running a little bit, but starting to see some success with those Honda engines. And listen, I love it. I wish that we would find more engine manufacturers, and then where we could get the engine manufacturers throwing in more money to help the drivers, and start, in the same way with IndyCar. I mean, it's IndyCar Cup teams. I mean, you get these big corporations in there where they get their super engineers involved and start working on this. I mean, I'm excited to see the Toyota 410 once it all gets sorted out and going, and really couldn't see anybody else that deserves one of the Toyota 410s other than this guy sitting here. So
does Speedway? I think Speedway does Toyota's motors, right?
Speedway is doing that, and Ryder's doing it. So there's two people that are building the 410 side. Speedway does a majority of.
Yeah, we're certainly not trying to sway you from Speedway, by the way. I mean,
no.
The record there stands for itself, man. Those guys are pretty solid.
And I mean, Rick Long, for the most part, does all of their stuff. I mean, from what Silver Crown engines are left, which I don't think there's very many of those anymore, to, of course, the midget stuff, which I think maybe Stanton does some of those too, the Toyotas, or maybe he doesn't now. But anyhow, I mean, it's Rick has done the right things, and hell, back in the day, it was all Ed Pink. Ed Pink was everything to do with Toyota, so on that side of it. So, but yeah, I mean, I love watching these guys run. I wish we would get a little more of a pavement presence going again, which in a couple of meetings that I've been in, that's definitely a conversation that's being had. I just wish they would get some more of that going, because I think you can use both. I think you need both, and it's hard to. I mean, I'm good friends with Doug Coletta, of course. I've known him for a long, long time, and when he raced out here, he was an absolute animal, and you had the likes of him, Tony Stewart, Irwin, and all these guys running, and I told somebody at the drag strip the other day, I said, listen, he could have went and drove anything, Doug could have went and ran IndyCar. I mean, he had the ability to step in or step up to the next thing, and he picked this drag racing team for some reason. I can't understand the thoughts behind it, but no, he's great where he is and is even a better businessman on top of it, which is pretty cool. So,
of all the cars that you drive, this might be a foolish question. I think I know the answer.
I do too,
but you never know. You got to ask, right? And you got midget sprint cars, Silver Crown. Those super modifieds, dude. Is there a preference?
Typically, it's whatever I'm doing well in. Is what I
That's
like
my favorite car of the day.
Yeah. But
good answer. Love it.
My favorite that we used to do and I miss doing, and back to kind of what you said a minute ago about pavement, was racing midgets on the mile. I think that was the most fun I ever had in race cars, is racing the midgets on the miles. It was crazy, but the racing was so much fun.
Looked like slot cars.
Yeah.
I mean, jamming.
Yeah. No, that was something I enjoyed a lot. But
so no fear at all of the small cars going 160 miles an hour.
I wouldn't say there's no fear, but that was just something that I felt I did well at and I enjoyed.
We'll be right back after this. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by General Tire. For over 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. From the aggressive mud terrain Grabber X3 to the all-terrain performance of the Grabber ATX to the strong and durable all-purpose terrain Grabber APT, General Tires balance excellent on-road performance with off-road capabilities designed for all weather conditions. Remember, with General Tire, anywhere is possible. For more information or to find your local dealer, head over to generaltire.com.
So what did Bobby Santos, the first, what did he run?
My grandfather was a modified racer in the Northeast. Raced different divisions throughout Northeast. I think he's got, I'm not exactly positive, but actually talking about Stafford, I think he has the record for the most wins consecutively at Stafford.
Wow.
In the hobby division there. So my grandfather started that, and then he got into the modifieds, and I think he has two of his claim to fame was he won Martinsville in the 70s, and he won 1 o'clock at Martinsville, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then Thompson, Connecticut, he won a modified race, and back then they gave the winner of the modified race the option to start tailing the super modified feature. And the way the race worked out, he actually ended up winning the super modified race also that night. I think the 2 leaders crashed, and he ended up winning in a modified.
Wow.
So that was my
cool.
grandfather. And
do you remember, was he ever racing?
No, he was done before. I watched him race one time. They did kind of Riverside Park. They did a kind of like a Legends car reunion race, and that was probably in the early 90s. I watched him do that.
Did he race with your father at all?
Nope.
He was done before?
Yeah, he was kind of done. And then my dad, kind of did it on his own and had no money behind him. And, my grandfather kind of did his thing. And then my dad started racing. And as soon as my dad was in the position where he could race, he got my sisters into quarter midgets. So my dad is kind of the sacrificed the most in all of our racing and shortened his career so that me and my sister could get going.
I know the feeling all too well. I mean, seriously, I finally got to a point where I felt like I could race, but Robert clearly had the talent. And
that's why I was getting ready to say, so you're trying to, he had the talent. You were
yeah.
I mean, yours was already fading.
Come and gone, yeah.
Come and gone. So what business is your dad in? What's he do?
He's just got a small construction company in snow plowing. And when I say small, he literally works by himself.
Yeah.
He's had employees through the years, but now he him and my mom are 7 days a week doing something. They don't stop. And they just do enough so that they live in Massachusetts and they fly out here and rarely ever miss any of my races. And
awesome.
That's actually, if it wasn't for my dad, I take care of the cars myself, prepare them, get to the track myself. But when I'm at the racetrack, my dad is my best person. I mean, he takes care of the tires and everything that I need, with adjustments and stuff. We work together on it. And
seems like he knows what he's doing from your success. So.
No, if I didn't have my dad, I would really struggle. So he's just, he loves it now. Cause when I first started coming out here and racing, he owned the cars and I drove for him. And it was hard for a family team to do that and traveling from Massachusetts. And, now that I'm lucky enough that I, have a car owner that, Dick that enjoys it and DJ racing and can afford to do it with us. And my dad loves it that he just has to get himself to the racetrack and help and be involved.
That's awesome.
Okay, and from a father's perspective, I will tell you, but your dad's the happiest guy on the planet. I mean, I'm sure very proud of his son, of course, but to be involved at some level and knowing you're still an important part of the team, and then to watch your son, who clearly has the talent you have, go out and see so much success. I mean, he's living the dream.
Yeah. No, my parents, they're the hardest working people I know. Like I said, I mean, they're working 7 days a week. They're flying out here. We're racing, and then, they're turning around, getting off the plane Sunday at 9 a.m., and they're going to work. They're not going home to sleep. Like, they go straight home, and they're cleaning something or doing something.
It's Thursday morning here now as we're doing the show. When you leave here today, what's your plans? What are you doing?
I'm going straight back to the shop to continue to get my sprint car ready for Anderson. Not to come across weird, but this weekend's SRX race, midget race. Easy is not the right word, but I just have to show up with a driver bag for that deal.
Nice, huh?
The midget. I'm just a driver on that program. And
when you say head to the shop from here, everybody thinks you live in Massachusetts. So what shop are you referring to?
I live in Fishers. I've been in Indy for probably 10 years or so now. Our shop's here in Brownsburg. We got 3 sprint cars, 1 crown car that I take care of, and just back to work, trying to keep up with, get my cars prepared, the rest of the day today and tomorrow, and looking forward to going out as just a driver Saturday night at IRP.
So this is what it's like to show up with a helmet and a fire suit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And do you, when you get ready, do you change in that luxurious bathroom there at the infield?
I usually just do it right at my pit stall.
Strip it down, man. Make it happen, dude.
Dude, that bathroom. I was like, hey, when are we thinking about fixing this? I was talking to Casey the other day. Oh, we're working on it. I was like, that bathroom has looked like that for at least 25 years that I can remember.
Yeah.
It made the old school ones at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway look classy.
Yeah.
It made the troughs look classy back in the day.
What you're offering at that race in August here, and what Casey's done with IRP for pavement racing, it's just unbelievable. And I know I greatly appreciate it because it's the form of racing I do, and we're nervous, how much longer it's going to go around. I mean, we're in dirt country around here.
Well, this is only going to get better, and this is this year. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. And it's my, yes, it is by all means. It's a, it's marketing for our company, but we can market anywhere, right? There's not like a bunch of eyewear companies in the racing business. Oakley used to be pretty involved in it. Wiley X is to a certain extent still, but we it's a great fan. It's a great program. We will have we try to take our merchandise trailer to most of these events to sell our wares, if you will. And but the cool part of it is, I made the deal with Casey. I said, here's the deal. I said, I'll do this with you. I said, and I've dealt with a lot of folks out at Raceway Park, at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. So they are owned by the NHRA, so they have some tendency to forget about that round paved area that's on the other side that is awesome. But I have taken more involvement in it with him. I love Raceway Park. I mean, it's right up the street from our shop here. We can take folks from employees out there that can enjoy it, which means a considerable amount to us. These folks that work for us are like family. But more than and to top it all off, we want to grow that. So it's it was kind of a 4-race deal this year, and it's all promoted by Casey and the track. Okay, so he wants to do more, and I want to do more. So more to follow on that for the for years to come. But I did tell Casey, I said, if you leave before this goes off, I'm going to hunt you down and scalp you. So I made the deal with you, not with the entity. So, but he has been nothing short of unbelievable with it. I think with the racetracks in general in the hands of Casey, helping direct the direction for them, whether it's Gainesville or Raceway Park and what used to be at Atlanta. They sold Atlanta, and the word is that they're going to take some of the funds from Atlanta and fix a lot of stuff here and take care of a lot of things that needed to be done a little bit better. But we're trying to get good partners there, whether it's somebody that's in the, that's in the paving business that can help, fix some of the track, whether it's somebody in the concrete business that can help fix some of the issues with the walls right now. And I mean, it's just little things, but it's maintenance things that have kind of been put to the wayside. And as I said, the entity that owns it goes straight and doesn't turn. And so they don't have a lot of interest in it. But that track has created some amazing memories, and I'm excited about the upcoming event, the $100,000 to win deal, because I would love nothing else to see somebody win that. It would be an amazing deal for whoever wins it. It would be an amazing deal for us, and I like the invert, so we're calling him next. Go ahead.
The Hoosier Classic he's referring to, and of course the Hoosier Classic Fatheads Eyewear $100,000 challenge. Bobby Santos will be out there trying to take his fair share of that gig. Man, we've kept you here for a little bit longer than we anticipated, but always great conversation with you, man. I know you're very busy and you've got a lot to take care of, but want to thank you for coming out and spending some time with us.
No, thanks for the invite. This is really cool. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, man, you're welcome here anytime. Nice that you're good and close, and wish you the best of luck. How much do you have left this season? Still a pretty full boat?
Yeah, actually the next couple months coming up here are pretty busy. Got a big modified race up at Loudon, New Hampshire, NASCAR modified race, which unfortunately I haven't done enough of that the last couple of years, but Loudon's been good to me, so looking forward to that one. Obviously these handful of races at IRP, really looking forward to that. Just some more crown races that that would like to do a good job at, and the next couple of months are busy, so really looking forward to the rest of the year and hopefully winning races. That's what I do this for.
I want to personally thank you for your help that you've given my son when we were racing with you in King of the Wings. You're one of the guys, and I will say this. I mean, I told you before I didn't know a whole lot about the sport in terms of setup, but I am at least good enough to tell when somebody's really smooth, and certainly one of the smoothest drivers I've ever seen in any sort of car. And those wing sprint cars were a handful for sure, but you make it look easy, and you were always a trustworthy guy that we thought we could go to and get some help from, an experienced guy, and you never let him astray. You didn't send him down another path. You were always kind, no ego there. Outstanding individual, man. I can't thank you enough for that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I always, I guess I'm kind of one of the older guys in this now, and I'm happy to help other people. I feel like I'm on the phone with different teams and different people a lot, just trying to give people a hand. And you never know when you're talking to other drivers and other teams that they're calling you for help, but they might not know as much as they might actually be helping me at the same time, and they don't even realize it because I'm listening to what they're saying and what their problems are. So always open to helping other guys, and sometimes that benefits myself when they don't even realize it.
Jedi mind trick.
He's a great example. I mean, I love it because he's a great example to the people that come out, the kids that come out, and racing has become so specialized where you have people that work on cars and you have the drivers that drive the cars. It's just become very specialized. So to still see a guy that works on a car, hops in the car, drives a car, drives a transporter, gets where he wants to go. And I know a lot of short track racers still do that, but you're just a great ambassador and a great example for kids that are coming into the sport to watch somebody work as hard as you do. Whenever you lead by example like that, it really pays huge dividends, man. You're an awesome dude, man.
Thank you.
Cool. Bobby Santos here on the Skinny. Make sure you catch him at Raceway Park. He'll be out there a number of times this year, and who knows, might even snag $100,000. Thanks for being with us here on the Skinny. This episode has been brought to you by Toyota, Rhino Classifieds, Dream Giveaway, and General Tire. For the latest in sunglasses, optical frames, accessories, and apparel, be sure to check out fatheads.com. That's Fatheads with a Z. Production facilities provided by Fatheads Eyewear Studios. All rights reserved.